we will analyze the camera from the front to the back. The lens is, in my opinion, maybe the most important part, and it will be able to make a camera look bad if it's not the right lens. It is pretty much like a tire in a car, where some people look at it just a round piece of rubber and let's go the cheapest one. Guess what? Your car will not perform as it should with a cheap tire. The same thing, a camera will not perform with a cheap lens. So it's not just the zoom ratio. You may get a very high-end zoom ratio with very poor results. So we're going to look into the details, what it takes to choose a good lens. So the requirements of the high-definition lens, which we're going to be focusing on, has several performance factors we're going to analyze one by one. The first one I want to refer to is called MTF, or modulation transfer function. The next one we're going to talk about in the next chapter is the aperture, then the angle of view, chromatic aberration, and depth of field. So what is important to know about the lens is how well the image which you're capturing ends up being projected on the sensor's surface. Well, here we have a basic lens and a 1/3 inch imager. What we want to do is get the image through this glass and project a perfect image on the surface of the imager. So what we see on the slide is the subject, which in this case is a pencil, just for simplification, the image goes through the lens and is then projected on the imager. In the next slide, we will see what happens when the object is out of focus. It becomes blurry in both directions. So we want to make sure that the image on the surface of the imager is properly projected. The size of the imager is important. The smaller the imager, the more telephoto it will tend to be. So portions of the objects will be captured. With a larger imager, there will be more sensitivity, but also a wider picture. There are basically three kinds of high-definition lenses used in our cameras. One is a wide-angle zoom, the other one is a single zoom, and one is a fixed focal length glass. The wide-angle zoom is a lens that basically starts from very wide to a wide position. The telephoto or single zoom is the most common one, and it is basically from a normal focal length to a zoom position. And the last one, which is very seldom used, is the fixed focal length. And basically it has no zoom adjustment and is mainly made for a single imager. You have now learned the different kinds of high-definition lenses used by our cameras. The next time we get together, we'll talk about the exposure and composition portion of the image and how the lens is important to it. So we talk about modulation transfer function and aperture.